Good morning, everybody, and welcome to Chapter 17. So, when we talk about the marketing program, we talk about the marketing mix, or the 4 Ps of marketing, and we have four components to the 4 Ps of marketing. We have the product component, the price component, the place component, otherwise known as distribution, and the promotion component. So Chapter 17 and Chapter 18 deal with the promotion component. And in Chapter 17 here, we have 4 different types of promotion. And the first type is advertising. And on our little slide here, that goes down to about here. So this deals with advertising. And then we have what's known as sales promotions. And then finally we have what's known as public relations. And then in Chapter 18, we deal with personal selling. So chapter 17 goes through the first of these 3 or 4 forms of promotion. Okay, and the first section here deals with advertising. So we draw this distinction between two broad types of advertising. We have the book calls it product advertising. You know, I would probably call it consumer product advertising, because it's the advertisement of products towards consumers. And then we have institutional advertising. The consumer product advertising deals with products, and institutional advertising deals with the company's name, or kind of their brand. Okay, and then we look at this this process that advertisers use in developing and implementing an advertising program. So we have to plan the program or develop it, then we have to implement it or execute it, and then once we've implemented our ad program, we evaluate it, or we assess to see how successful the ad program was. And then we look at some pros and cons of different advertising media. So that's the advertising section, and that's most of this chapter. And then at the end, there's a little bit more. There's a little bit about sales promotion techniques that can be used for either targeted towards consumers or targeted towards industrial buyers. So in this context, it really means retailers and distributors. So how do the manufacturers market their products to the distribution chain, wholesalers and distributors and retailers? And then finally, there's a little bit about public relations as a form of promotion. Okay, so let's move on here. And I think, I think most of you would probably agree with me that it's kind of a fun chapter, because we're inundated by advertisements in our daily lives, and it's kind of fun to understand what marketers are trying to do when we kind of reflect upon it. And so this chapter gives us a bit of some tools to kind of analyze what they're doing, or what they're trying to do, I should say. Okay, so let's just move on. Okay, so we have a definition of advertising, and it's any form of non-personal communication that identifies the organization, and it's about a product, idea, or the organization itself. So when we talk about advertising, Chapter 17 here, it's actually tied in a little bit with Chapter 16, which we skipped. So I've got a couple of slides from Chapter 16 that I'm going to use to help us organize the content in Chapter 17. So I'm just going to go to this slide from Chapter 16, because it provides a bit of context. So when companies advertise their products or services, they have some objective. They have some objective that they're trying to achieve. And we were introduced to the concept of the product life cycle a number of chapters back. So when we talk about the product life cycle, there's kind of an introductory stage of a product in the market, so it's a new product. Um, and then the products tend to go through a growth period, and then the sales and net income in the industry kind of plateau, so the industry matures, and then eventually products have become obsolete because they get replaced by other products, and then sales and profits kind of go into a decline period. So at these different stages of the product life cycle, the advertiser has different objectives that they want their advertising to achieve. So during the introductory stage, they're trying to inform the public about they're trying to inform the market about this new product they have. During the growth period, we have more and more competitors come into the market, and so the marketer wants to persuade the market to buy their particular product rather than a competitor's product. And then in the mature stage of the product life cycle, everybody knows what the product is, and you're just trying to get your name out there to remind people that, oh yeah, your product is still in the market, so come and buy ours. And then in the decline stage, well, companies have to decide whether or not they want to exit that market completely, or they tend to just reduce the amount of money they spend on advertising because the market's shrinking and they can't make as much money. So we have this context of advertising and different types of ads at different types of the product life cycle that kind of underlies Chapter 17. Okay, so we'll come back to this in a bit here, but so this comes from Chapter 16. I can't tell you the page at the moment, but just flip through Chapter 16 and you'll see this product lifestyle map or chart mapped against the promotional objective of advertisers. Okay, so let's go back. Okay. Okay, so we have two general types of ads. We have product advertisements and we have institutional advertisements. And just turn some. Okay, sorry. So we have product ads, which focus on selling products, and we have three different types of product ads. We have so-called pioneering ads. So these are ads that are used during the introductory stage of the product life cycle, and their purpose is to tell people what the product is, what the product can do, and where they can find it, where they can buy it. And then the second type of product ad is a competitive ad, or a persuasive ad. So this is the type of ad that's used during the growth stage of the product life cycle. So the vendor's trying to profile the unique characteristics of their product so that people will be persuaded to buy their product rather than that of a competitor. So it's designed to convince the market to buy their particular product. So I've come up with an example of a competitive ad here. Let's just see if I can. So recently, in the last year or so, we've seen these, I think they're called hoverboards. They're really not hoverboards. I mean, they're hoverboards, but they don't like levitate. But they're these little I think they're called self-balancing, I don't know, segways or something. And you've seen people standing on these things, and that it drives them around. And so I went to this website of a company called Hoverboard, and so they're promoting their hoverboards with the name of Powerboards, and they have a nice little persuasive type panel on their website. So this company is based in the United States. They're based in the United States, obviously, and they're trying to persuade buyers to buy the American hoverboards as opposed to competitors. How are they comparing it? Well, they ship to the United States rather than China, so it comes a little bit faster. They have a certified battery versus they're suggesting that the competitors' batteries aren't as good quality. Includes a charger. They suggest that the competitor products are inferior because they don't come with a charger. 1-year warranty, so this is a nice little product feature, right? Warranties. Um, and if you buy it offshore, it's probably not going to have that. They can support, if you have problems with your machine, you can get contact in your time zone, and probably not if you're buying it from overseas. Support's available 24/7, probably not if you buy it from overseas. It's high quality, and they're suggesting that the foreign-made products are not as high quality. Anyway, so this is just the company trying to compare their superior brand, their superior product versus that of competitors. So that's a persuasive ad. And it's because even though the hoverboard market is still relatively new, what this what this tells me is that there's quite a few competitors out there, and the industry really is in this growth phase. It's probably just a little bit past the introductory stage, or it's just kind of on the border here. Anyways, okay, so the third form of product advertising that we have is reminder advertising. I should have done this before. I'll close this stuff. Okay, there we go. So the third form of product advertising that we have, so we have pioneering, we have competitive or persuasive, and then we have a reminder. So reminder product advertising is used during the mature stage of the product life cycle. So the product is already well known to the market, and the company is really just reminding people that don't forget that our product is still out there. So I have a fun little example of this. It's from Coke. It's a few years old. That doesn't matter. It's from Coke. And this is an ad campaign they had in New York City. So it's a Diet Coke. They're advertising Diet Coke. So they've got this kind of this billboard on a bus, or just a panel on the street, or maybe this is like a bus shelter or something. So you moved to New York with the clothes in your back. So you moved to New York with just the clothes in your back, cash in your pocket, and your eyes on the prize. So people move to New York City because they're trying to have big ambitions to conquer the world. And their tagline is, "Hey, you're on Coke," or "You're on Diet Coke." Anyway, so this is reminder advertising. Everybody knows what Coke is, and they're just trying to remind people that, oh yeah, don't forget when you're picking your soft drinks, pick Coke. Okay. So the other major kind of advertising we have is institutional advertising, as opposed to product advertising. And so we have similar types of institutional ads. Where's my little pen? Oh my goodness. There we go. Sorry. We have similar types. So we have pioneering, we have competitive, we have reminder, and then we have these advocacy ads. So I have, okay. So when you have, oops, I'm just going to switch the slide here. So we have these four different types of institutional ads. So pioneering institutional ads are ads that tell the market what the company is, what it does, and where it's located, and it's analogous to the pioneering ad used in product advertising. And then we have I gotta get rid of this. Then we have competitive institutional ads, and it promotes the product class over another product class. So we have an example of that in the book. Is milk. So the dairies across Canada are trying to promote the consumption of milk, and really the suggestion here is that milk is better for you. The majority of Canadians aren't getting enough milk products every day. What about you? So they're suggesting that milk is better for you than water or coffee or soft drinks. So this is a competitive institutional ad, just promoting the product class. And then we have institutional reminder ads. We have institutional reminder ads. Oops, whoops. And I have an example. I have a video example of this. I've got a video link to Moodle, and the video is called Honda Hands. It's kind of a fun little video, actually. It's a couple years old. So if you want to see an example of a reminder institutional advertisement, go watch Honda Hands. And it's really just reminding the market about the company. In this case, it's Honda and all the different kinds of Honda products, but they're not actually promoting any particular product. They're not promoting their outboard motors or their lawnmowers or their vehicles. They're just promoting Honda's good name in their minds. Okay, and then finally, we can also have these so-called advocacy ads, and this is where the company picks a social cause, and they ally themselves with that social cause. They're taking a position on some social issue, and there's no end of these kind of advocacy ads. So I went and found a small example. It's from a number of years ago, I believe, but it could also still be in place today. It's from Kellogg's, the cereal people. And a couple of years back, Kellogg's was trying to draw people's attention to the importance of children eating breakfast before they start their day. And their ad campaign was called Share Your Breakfast. And so I think what you did is you went to their website, you informed them what you were having for breakfast, and then Kellogg's made some donations to breakfast programs in the country. So I think these ads here are from the United States, but I believe they did the same kind of program in Canada. So they're just saying, you know, hey, breakfast is important for kids to start their days because they can focus better, less chance of being late, puts kids in a better mood, so when they're home with their families, people get along better. And you know, about 20% of kids, their stats show that about 20% of kids don't get a sufficient breakfast in the morning. So Kellogg's, this is an advocacy ad from Kellogg's, aligning itself to the importance of breakfast. Okay, and then there's another way we can classify ads. Instead of just distinguishing between product ads and institutional ads, there's no little slide for this, but we can also distinguish ads by classify ads by the timing of the intended response. So we have what are known as direct response ads. So here the vendor wants the viewer to buy the product right away. As soon as the consumer sees the ad, the marketer wants you to pick up the phone or go out shopping right away and buy that. And so we see that with ads that have 1-800 numbers, or maybe you're on the internet and you know, you get a little buy now click button. And then the other kind of ad that we have relating to the timing of the intended purchase is the delayed response ad. So that's like the Coke reminder ad. The intended purchase time is sometime after you see the ad rather than simultaneous to the ad. And this is probably most of the kind of ads we see. You see ads for vehicles on TV. Nobody expects you to buy a vehicle right away. But those are delayed response type ads. Okay, so that's our introduction to the advertising form of promotion. And now we're going to look at the techniques for designing an advertising program. And again, we're going to have to go back to chapter 16 here, just to give us some structure. Okay, so when we want to design our ad program, there's three steps that we go through. Actually, I should just there's three steps that we want to go through. Firstly, we want to design the program, and then we want to implement it, and then we want to evaluate it to see how successful we were. Okay, so here's this three-step process, and again, it comes from chapter 16. Again, I can't remember the page, but it's 440 something. So the first stage in our ad program is planning. The second stage is implementation of our plan, and then the third stage is evaluating how effective our implemented plan was. It's simply ABC. Okay, so that's what most of the rest of chapter 17 is about. It's simply going through these three steps. And most of it actually deals with planning, but that's how chapter 17 is laid out for the most part. Okay, so let's go back. Okay, so in our planning phase, so we have step 1 of 3 is planning the ad program, or designing the ad program, whatever you want to call it. So what are the components of the planning stage? So we have 5 components, and the first component is identifying our target market. So we've looked at this earlier in the course. So we want to identify for example, the demographic characteristics of our market. Are we selling our product to men, or we're selling them to women? Or which geographic segments are relevant? Are we selling them to Eastern Canadians or Western Canadians? Is there a particular age group we're selling to? So we know there's a bunch of demographic variables there. And there might be some other characteristics depending on our audience. Some products are sold at certain times of the year. We buy Christmas toys around Christmas, and we buy swimsuits in the summertime, and we buy skis in the wintertime. So there's a bit of a seasonality factor there as well. Okay, so the second component of the planning stage of our ad program is specifying what our advertising objectives are. So again, I'm going to come back to this little chart in chapter 16. So we want to know what our objectives of our ad program is, and we find those objectives at the different stages of the objectives correspond to the different stages of the product life cycle. So we need to understand, where is our product in the product life cycle? Is it at the introductory stage? If so, then we're going to use, our objective is to inform the audience of our product class. Is the industry at the growth stage? If so, then we're trying to persuade people to buy our product versus that of competitors. At the mature stage, we're just reminding. At the decline stage, we're kind of phasing out. So these are the 4 different types of objectives our ads can have. Okay, so if our product is at the introductory stage, we're trying to inform people of our product. So we're going to use pioneer advertising, and we could be using sales promotion techniques in the form of free samples, because we want people to sample our product and then go out and buy it. And then we're going to use, the manufacturer is going to try to persuade intermediaries in the distribution chain. So the manufacturer is going to try to persuade wholesalers, distributors, and retailers to pick up to carry the product. And so you're probably going to use some personal selling by your sales force to those distributors. Okay, and then if our product falls at the growth stage of the product life cycle, our objective of our advertising is to persuade people to buy our product. And so we're going to be using competitive advertising, or persuasive type advertising. And we're going to be using personal selling to market the product to the intermediaries in the distribution channels. So again, it's the manufacturers using personal selling to get wholesalers, distributors, and retailers to carry the product line. Okay, and then if our product is at the mature stage of the product life cycle, our objective is to remind people that our product is still in the marketplace and not to forget about us. So we're going to be using reminder type advertising. We could be using some sales promotion in forms of discounts, coupons, and so on. We might use direct mail reminders as well. And then if our product is at the decline stage, well, we're probably not going to be spending a whole lot of money on advertising, because our product is in its dying days. Okay, so that's the Second stage, so again, we have 3 stages to designing our overall ad program. This is the design stage or planning stage. First stage is identifying target market. Second stage is specifying advertising objectives by looking at our product life cycle. Okay, the third stage is setting up a budget for the advertising program. And again, this was dealt with more in Chapter 16 that we skipped. So if you're curious to know about some techniques for setting advertising budgets, you can look at page 445 or 446. Okay, then the fourth stage is designing the ad. And then the fifth stage is selecting the advertising media. You know, do we want to advertise on radio, TV, magazine, internet, and so on? Okay, so we've looked at the first 3 steps in this process. So then we're going to briefly look at this fourth step of designing the actual ad, and then most of the rest of chapter 17 actually deals with selecting the advertising media. So we have lots and lots of information about different types of advertising media. But before we go there, we'll just briefly visit designing the advertisement. And we have 2 components to the design. First of all, we have to develop our content, and then so we have to come up with a theme, and then we have to actually design it for the particular media that we're going to use. So our ad, if it's on radio, is going to look a bit different than if it's on TV. If it's in a magazine or in a newspaper, they might look different because the newspaper might be black and white advertising, and in the magazine it might be colored. Okay, so we have 2 subcomponents of designing the ad, and the first one is developing the message content. And so often the message content contains some kind of an appeal, and the appeal is the reason for the consumer to do something. And we have these 3 different types of appeal that the book profiles, and we have fear appeal, we have sex appeal, and we have humor appeal. And we're familiar with all these different types of appeal just from our ordinary life. Okay, so when we speak about fear appeal, the marketers try to create a negative feeling in us. They're trying to create some kind of fear that the product solves. Trying to create a fear of some problem that the product solves. So I have an example, and there's no end to these examples. I've got first example I have. You might not have seen this particular ad, but you've seen, you've seen similar ones. So this particular ad that I have is from the World Wildlife Federation or Foundation, whatever it's called. And they're trying to scare people into being concerned about climate change. So if we don't, the suggestion is if we don't have more environmentally friendly practices, we could end up looking like this guy right here. And then I have another example of a fear-based fear appeal in a little video that I posted to the to Moodle, and it's called The Real Bears. The Real Bears, which I don't know if we want to call it a fun, I don't know if you want to call it a fun video because it's based on fear, but anyways, okay, anyway, so there's that little video example, and then I have one more, I have one more example of a fear appeal based ad. So this is the Real Bears video, anyways. Okay, and then another fear-based ad comes from Dove. As we may know, marketers have been quite successful in creating a fear of body odor. in Western countries. So they kind of make body odor kind of like a social sin. And so Dove, this is Dove soap people, they had an ad campaign a couple years ago called Go Sleeveless, and they called their product Go Sleeveless. So it's a women's deodorant based on kind of subtly referring to this fear of body odor, and this, so they're really saying to women, hey, you too can wear sleeveless blouses or shirts or whatever they are, without fear of offending your friends and colleagues, because you're using our wonderful product called Go Sleeveless deodorant. Anyway, so this is really a subtle form of a fear advertisement. Okay, then the second type of appeal. So we have fear appeal, we have sex appeal, and the authors tell us that sex appeal is kind of we all like seeing attractive people in ads, but the authors tell us that sex appeal is really more effective in changing short-term behavior, in attracting short-term attention, than in actually changing consumer behavior itself. So they're kind of like an they're kind of like eye candy. I should write that down. They're kind of like eye candy, but they're not that effective in actually changing, convincing people to buy stuff. Okay, and then so we have fear, appeal, we have sex appeal, and then we have humor appeal. So there's just no end of humorous advertisements, and so I have a couple of humorous advertisements, video ads posted in Moodle that you're free to look at. Okay, so in our developing our ad program here, we have 5 steps: identifying the target audience, specifying objectives, setting a budget, designing the ads, and the other part of the designing the ads is hiring artists and copywriters to actually design the ad for the particular media that we're using. So if it's a radio ad, or it has to be voice recorded; if it's TV, it's video; if it's a print, then it's color, pictures, and words kind of thing. So there's actually a content there. Okay, and then as I mentioned before, the 5th step is selecting the advertising media, and that is what the rest of this next section is about, is selecting the media. Okay, so let's just skip ahead. Okay, so we're still in the step 1 of 3. So we're still in the step 1 of 3. Step 1 of 3. It's designing the ad program, and we're in that 5th step of selecting the right media. So when we advertise our product, we want to select the media that's going to be most effective in reaching our target customers. So for example, we might think that our customers read lots. They read the newspaper, they read magazines, so we want to pick a particular medium. So we pick the print, and then we pick the vehicle. We're going to pick newspapers on Saturday, and then when we talk about which particular newspaper we're going to pick, well, we're going to pick the Edmonton Journal and the Calgary Sun. So we need to kind of walk through that step of broad to narrow. Okay, and just before so when we're talking about media, we know that in recent years, more and more advertisements, we've seen more and more advertisements on the internet, and the internet has some specific sort of unique forms of ads that we don't have in other media. So before we kind of go into these basic terms of advertising, I have a few examples of different forms of internet ads, and these are just a small sample. There's lots of different kinds of internet ads, but anyways, I've got examples of a few types here. Okay, so this first form of internet ads is known as a keyword search. Keyword search. So Alex is looking for snow tires for his car, so I go to Google, I punch in snow tires, hit enter, and look what pops up. You see all these different types of ads. Here's Canadian Tire selling ads. We have Goodrich tires. These results, here's someone else, here's someone else. All these results just pop up just on the basis of what I entered in there. And these are all ads, right? Canadian Tire, Goodyear, Nokian tires, Tire Rack. So this is an example of a keyword search kind of ad response. Okay, and then another one that we're all familiar with are the banner ads. So again, oops, we've seen a zillion of these kind of ads. You go to any web page, we're bound to see some panels on the right-hand side. They kind of look like this, or the little square boxes, the little square ads look like that, or here's Volkswagen ads that look like that. These are known as banner ads, little panel kind of ads. Okay, and then we know that sometimes we receive ads by email. So email, that's another internet-based form of advertising. And then another one that we see quite often, I guess it depends on where you visit on the web. It's a form of ad, it's kind of a quirky name, but it's called an interstitial ad. It's interstitial. So inter means between. So you go to YouTube to watch some video something, or listen to music or something, and up pops this little ad, and then often it says, here, you can skip this ad in 3 seconds. So there's that little box down here, and then it kind of counts down. This little ad that pops up between the video that you see and the website that you first go to, that's an interstitial ad, and that's a special form of internet ad. Okay, so back to our vocabulary of ads, and the vocabulary that the book has, here, reach, rating, frequency, gross rating points, cost per thousand, these are all traditional. These kinds of, these terms apply to traditional ads rather than internet-based ads. There's a whole different set of vocabulary for internet-based ads. And you know what I often tell students is if you go into the management diploma program in the second year, there's a course in e-commerce that's part of that program. And so in e-commerce, you look at all these zillions of different kinds of internet ads, and there's just a completely different set of vocabulary. It's similar vocabulary, but it's tailored to the internet media. Okay, so we have some basic vocabulary here. So we have the concept of reach. So reach applies to traditional media. And so when we speak about traditional media, we mean either print, or broadcast. So radio and TV are broadcast ads. And when we speak about reach in the print media, it means the number of households the magazine or newspaper gets delivered to. So if you were a company wanting to advertise your product, you can find out what the reach is of the different magazines and newspapers in the country, because there are organizations that tabulate this kind of data. So if you live in Toronto and you wanted to use the Toronto Star to sell your product, well, we know that Toronto Star has, I mean, this is a little bit dated here, but you know, about 350,000 households per day. If you wanted to use the Globe and Mail, well, they sell about 300,000 newspapers today. If you wanted to sell Montreal, Le Journal, 287,000 copies per day. La Presse, that's also in Quebec, 227. National Post sells about 170,000 copies per day. Toronto Sun, Vancouver. Oh, there's Calgary, Herald down there. So we know what the reach is of these various newspapers across the country. And likewise, in magazines, we have the same kind of data for magazines as well. Now, this is hard to read. I know it's hard to read, but so this is from 2014. Oh, it said it's from 2014. So if you're trying to figure which magazines should you put your ads in, and you want to know how many households do these magazines get into. So Chatelaine magazine goes into about 530,000 homes in Canada. Canadian Living makes it into about 497,000 homes in Canada. Reader's Digest, Canadian English edition, about 327,000. Maclean's magazine, about 290,000 homes, and so on. So we have this data, circulation data, that tells us what the reach is of these various forms of print media. Okay, and then likewise, the other kind of definition of reach applies to broadcast media, so radio and TV. And I don't have any examples for you here, but it is available. So you have print, and you have broadcast. Anyways, there's organizations out there that have the percentage of households in particular markets that particular radio stations or TV stations broadcast to. Okay, and so advertisers, they want to obtain the highest reach in the target market at their lowest cost. They want their ad to be exposed to as many households as possible. And advertisers want their ads to be viewed by potential buyers multiple times, because you know as well as I do is that we don't always pay attention to ads when we see it. Like even the first time, we're doing something else and we kind of catch an ad out of the corner of our eye, and we need to be exposed to it several times before we kind of tune into what it is they're selling us. And the authors tell us that the rule of thumb in the ad industry is that we have to be exposed to the ad at least 3 times in order for the ad to be effective. Okay, so sorry, this I made this mistake. Ratings, percentage of households that tune into the particular radio station or TV show. That's ratings is the form of reach in the broadcast industry, and total circulation is the form of reach in the print industry. Okay, so we have frequency. So frequency is the average number of times an individual is exposed to an ad. Gross rating points, so it's the reach, so it's the percentage of households in a market multiplied by the frequency, and cost per thousand. So this is the cost to the marketer to have its ads exposed to 1,000 households. Okay, and then let's just move on. Next slide. Okay, so we know that sometimes advertisements contain so-called celebrities, and we know that another name for these celebrities in ads is opinion leaders. Somehow I figure if somebody knows how to play hockey, they know what's good for us. Yes. Okay, so we're in step 1 out of 3 steps in designing our advertising program, and we're in the sub-step number 5 of selecting the appropriate media. And so what's the most appropriate media for us to place our ads in order to connect with our customers? So this slide from the book is obsolete. If you look at this slide here, it says that television is the most popular form of advertising in Canada, followed by newspapers, followed by the internet. I don't know what year this is from, but it is obsolete, because today the volume of internet ads exceeds that of TV. And I have that data for you. I've got an easy to understand chart. Okay, so this chart is from the end of 2013. So at the end of 2013, the value of internet advertising in Canada exceeded that of TV. So we can see that over the last a decade, television advertising, amount of money spent on TV advertising has been slightly increasing. This is the daily newspaper. This is newspaper. Has been in decline because people are watching or reading more online papers rather than paper newspapers. Spending on ads on radio has been on a slight increase, but there's been this dramatic increase in number of ads in value of spending on internet ads. And in 2013, internet advertising exceeded that of TV for the first time. I don't know what the data is for 2014 and 2015. Okay, so we're trying to select what's the best what's the best communications media for ads: internet, TV, newspapers, print, broadcast. And so there's a very large selection of these different media that we can select from. And we're going to look at some pros and cons of each one. Okay. So we've got this. We have a list of all these different media, and we've got a little chart here in the book telling us the pros and cons of these different forms of media. So here's our media here: TV, radio, magazines. This doesn't. There's the internet down there, and pros of each kind and the cons of each. And some of these, I think, we kind of know, somewhat intuitively, but the book does give us some good information as well. So what are good things about TV? Well, we know that in Canada, 99% of the population has TV. So TV is a good way to reach a potential audience. But we know that intuitively, a drawback of TV ads is that they're going to be expensive. Okay, so another form of ad, we don't even have it here. So it's infomercials, so those are those educational advertisements that we sometimes see on TV. Radio is another common form of advertising media. A good thing about radio stations in Canada is that there are many radio stations. The book tells us there's about 600 radio stations across the country, and it reaches about 92% of the entire population. I would kind of think it's 100%, but anyways. And we know that there's many different forms, there are many different genres or different formats for radio. We have music stations, and in music we have country and pop and hip hop. We have religious radio stations, we have news radio stations, we have French, we have English. And so there's many different submarkets that can be reached by radio stations because we have all these different genres. But a drawback of radio ads is that radio ads tend to be very, very short, 15, 30 seconds kind of thing. Okay, so we have many magazines and trade publications in Canada, something like 1,200 magazines and another 1,000 professional publications or business or trade publications. So again, it's kind of like the radio. There's a magazine for every hobby and taste out there, so it's easy to kind of select your target market. The drawback of magazines that there's a long lead time to get your ad in these magazines because the magazine might only come out once a month, and so you have to be well planned. Okay, likewise with newspapers, we have many newspapers across the country, something like 120 daily newspapers, and then there's about another 1,100 community newspapers, maybe they come out once a week kind of thing. So again, they provide good local coverage, but drawback is they have a short lifespan. I mean, once you read the newspaper once, that's all you need. Okay, Yellow Pages. We all know what Yellow Pages are, and they're available 24/7, so that's a good 24/7, 365, so that's a positive thing. Good thing about Yellow Pages is that most houses have a copy of them, and they usually focus on local ads. And you may say, hey, does anybody actually use the Yellow Pages anymore? Because don't people use the internet? You're interested in buying something. Don't you just go on the internet and troll around? And the answer is, it depends. It depends on who you are. Uh, so if you're a young person, yeah, you probably use the internet instead of Yellow Pages. But if you're an old guy, so Yellow Pages are getting thinner and thinner every year. Why? Because most people are going to most people are gravitating to the internet to find stuff. They're going to moving online. But Yellow Pages is still effective in a particular demographic. So if you're an old baby boomer who isn't so in tune with the internet and smartphones and surfing the internet on your smartphones, then you still go to Yellow Pages to buy stuff or to find sources of information to buy stuff. So there's still a demand for Yellow Pages out there, and even I find that hard to believe because I'm one of those old guys. Okay, and then sometimes another kind of ads we have are direct mail. So you get the flyers in the mail, you get the little letters to you in the mail. Good thing about direct mail is that they can have customized messages. They often know our demographics, so they're very focused. But as you would guess, direct mail is expensive. Okay, and then we looked a little bit before about internet ads. We have all these different forms of internet ads. We have email ads, we have search engine ads, we have social networks advertising. And then we also know that we have billboards. We have billboards, another form of advertising. Okay, let's just move on. So we have all these different types of advertising media to select from to put our ads in, depending on what suits our target market. And this is just an example of a magazine, Sports Illustrated. Lots of different magazine themes targeted towards particular markets. Okay, so we're still on step 1 of 3 of our overall advertising program. We're still in the design stage. And we're still in the 5th step of selecting the correct media. So another dimension of selecting the media is how frequently we want our ads to appear. So it's scheduling the ad. So what are the factors that affect what frequency we want the ads to appear? And there's 3 sub-factors here. One is buyer turnover. So if we have a market that has lots of new people moving in and other people moving out on a fairly regular basis, if we have all these new people in the market, then we're going to have high buyer turnover, so we're going to have to advertise more frequently to make sure that we capture the newcomers. And then another factor is buyer frequency. So if you buy a product on a regular basis, then your ad probably has more lasting effect. But if you buy the product only irregularly, maybe you have to advertise more. Okay, and then we have the final factor affecting how frequently you want to schedule our ad is the so-called forgetting rate. I mean, how quickly do people forget ads? And nowadays we're so inundated by ads, I think we kind of forget them quite frequently or quite rapidly. Okay, and then we also have these 3 scheduling formats. First is known as a continuous schedule. So we keep our ad out there every week of the year, 52 weeks of the year. Second format is the so-called flighting schedule. And so it really just means that we advertise during certain seasonal peaks. So we advertise for a children's toy manufacturer, we advertise children's toys around Christmas time. If we are selling golf products, then we advertise in the spring and summer. If we're a ski hill, we're going to do our promotion in the fall and the winter. So we follow kind of seasonal pattern. And then we have a combination of these known as a pulsing schedule. So it means that we do advertise year-round, but we might also have some seasonal peaks there. So a good example of a product that follows a pulsing schedule is body deodorant. because people do use deodorant year round. However, sales pick up in the summertime because it's hot and we sweat. Okay, let's just keep on going. Okay, so this is just an example of a creative media for ads from men's urinals. Okay, so the next step is step 2 out of 3 in our overall ad program, and the second step is executing the program or implementing the program, whatever you want to call it, implementing the program. So we have some ads designed, and we want to start rolling them out. And so what we might do is we might pre-test the ad. So there's 2 steps in executing. A, there's this pre-testing stage, and B, there's the actual implementation stage. So when we speak about pre-testing the ad, is we develop some ads, and we want to make sure that the ads are going to be effective. So we test the effectiveness of the ad before we start rolling it out, or we test the effectiveness of different versions of the ad in order to find the most effective one. And we have 3 ways of doing this. There's the so-called portfolio test, where the advertiser comes up with multiple versions of ads for our product. So this one has women in it, this one has men, this one has kids, and then they show this portfolio of ads to customers, and then they record the customers' comments. Oh, I like the women one and the kids one better. Okay, then another way of pre-testing these ads is through this jury test. So we have a single version of the ad that we show to a group of people, so to a panel of consumers, and then we record their reactions. And then the third way we can pre-test ads is, I've never participated in this myself, but if you have new movies or new TV shows, sometimes the studios bring in people to get them to view the movies to kind of test their reaction to the movies. And in those movies or new TV shows, new episodes of TV shows, they'll also test ads to see how effective those ads are. And so when you're watching these and you're in this theater test, you have some little gizmo that you can push buttons on with your hand to kind of record your response to the particular ads that you're showing. Okay, so in our implementation stage or execution stage, we have the pre-test component, and we also have the actual implementation stage. So when we design our ads, we can there's 3 kind of approaches we can use. And I'm going to move on to the next slide because it's the same content as this one. We can either design the ads, kind of has it backwards here. We can either design the ads in-house, so we could have our own marketing and advertising department. So we design the ads and we buy the media. Oh my goodness! I just made a big here. Oh, I'm good. Sorry. We can do all the design work and media purchasing with our own employees, so that's kind of like an in-house agency. Secondly, the other extreme is we could go to a contractor and just bring all of our material to them and say, hey, develop the ads for us. So they do the research, they select the media, they produce the copy, they go out and buy the spots on TV or the radio or internet for us. So that's using a full service agency versus an in-house agency, which is the first type. And then the third kind is kind of a hybrid of the 2. We might do some of the work in-house, and we might contract out some of the other stuff. So maybe we do the immediate purchasing. We line up the spots on the radio stations and magazines and TVs that we want to use, but we contract out the design work to an agency. Okay, so we roll out the ad program, and then we come to our final step in the ad program. We come to our final step in the ad program. So this is step three out of three, and it's assessing or evaluating how successful our ads were ads were in the market. And we have these five ways of post-testing the ad. So we test the ad after, post means after the ad has been in the market. And so we have this aided recall uh, method. So we have a group of customers or consumers. We show them the ad, and then we ask them to recall where they saw the ad or where they heard the ad. Was it on the radio? Which radio station? Which magazine? Which television station? Because they're trying to figure out um, what the most effective communication media uh, is. And then we have unaided recall. So customers or consumers are asked which ads they recall seeing recently, and the marketer is trying to determine who has the most effective ads out there. So maybe Coke and Pepsi have ads on at the same time, and Coke surveys consumers saying, "Hey, what ads do you recall seeing?" And they say, "Oh, we saw these Pepsi ads." So Coke says, "Oh, okay, Pepsi has a more effective ad than us, so we better go out and fix our ad program." Okay, then there are these attitude tests. So consumers are surveyed to see how their attitudes towards the product have changed in response to the ads that they've put out recently. Then we have these inquiry tests. So consumers are shown a set of ads for different products, and then they're offered some additional information about these products, or they're offered additional samples about these products, they're offered different deals about these products, and they measure which product people have more follow-up on than the others. So if they said, here's Coke, Pepsi, Dr. Pepper, hey, if you want a free sample, which would you pick? Free sample this, free sample that, free sample that. And if most people pick this one, they say, oh, okay, that's an inquiry test. This Pepsi ad is pretty effective. Okay, and then finally we can have sales tests. So this is where you have the ad campaign in a particular community, and you actually have the product in the stores in that community, and you just measure what sales were. So sales are largely a response to the ads. So that's another way of testing the effectiveness of ads. Does it actually drive people to go and buy the stuff? Okay, and then so as you can tell, if you're doing this post-testing on your ads and you're seeing that, hey, your competitors have a more effective ad than you, then of course you can adapt your ad program kind of on the fly to be more competitive with the competitor products, or competitor ads, I should say. Okay, let's just move on. Okay, so the book just gives us an example of this Pepsi ad that's assessed through these starch scores. So I'm not really familiar with this, but starch scores are a form of aided recall. Why is it called? It's a form of ad assessment based on aided recall. So it's this guy here. It's this guy here. And why is it called the starch test? It's because it's named after a guy by the name of Starch. I think his name was David. He was an American psychologist and a market researcher a long time ago. Anyways, okay, so, oops. Okay, so in our promotion P, we have four different types of promotion. A, we have advertising, which we've just looked at. B, we have what's known as sales promotion. C, we have public relations. And D, we have personal selling. So, as we mentioned before, personal selling is dealt with in Chapter 18, and advertising, sales promotion, and public relations are dealt with in this chapter, Chapter 17. So now we're moving on to the second of these four forms of promotion, namely sales promotion. So sales promotion, so we have sales promotions can be used for both consumer products, and they can also be used for industrial products. And we're going to look briefly at both. And sales promotions are selling tools that support advertising and personal selling. And sales promotions are not used on a standalone basis. And you know, I guess I'm a little bit cynical here when I see sales promotions and I kind of look at these things. To me, you know, I call them gimmicks. You know, I'm sure a marketer would hate me for saying that, but I call them gimmicks. Anyways, we have the book has a list of 10 different types of sales promotions. And so the first of these 10, we have 10 consumer or types of consumer sales promotions. So the first one are coupons. So we're all familiar with coupons. You get a little coupon in the mail. Hey, buy a can of this new flavor of Campbell soup, and it only cost you, $1 or something. So coupons are used to stimulate the demand for new product users. So it's usually tied to new products. Okay, and then sometimes we see these deals. So these are these short-term price reductions, trying to increase usage during a trial period. So often they're used for new products. So this is the 2-for-1, or so many cents off. We have these premiums. So this is where you can get an extra sample of the product for free. So buy one, get one free kind of thing. So the second one is the kind of the premium. We can have contests, and contests are based on skill. So the customer has to answer some kind of question, and if they're correct, they win some kind of a prize. And as we can guess, like the real purpose of contests is for the vendor to build up a customer name list so they can send them ads afterwards. And then we have what's known as sweepstakes. I don't think it's a very common term anymore, but it's kind of like a contest, but it's entirely based on chance. Entirely based on chance. So there's no skill. And so the best, a good example of a sweepstake is the Tim Hortons roll up the rim. Roll up the rim. I think they call it a contest, but technically it's a sweepstake. Okay, so we have 10 of these different types of, We have 10 of these different types of sales promotion, consumer sales promotion. That's 5. And then we have number 6 here, so free samples. We all like free samples. I remember a couple years ago in the mail, I received a free sample, that Nutella stuff, the chocolate and hazelnut, kind of like peanut butter, but it's not peanuts, it's hazelnut instead. So anyways, I remember getting a little sample in the mail, so that's good stuff. Highly loaded with sugar, but still good stuff. Or tastes good, I should say. Okay, so we have these loyalty programs. So the marketer is trying to encourage repeated use, and there's no end to these things. You get your air miles, you get your points cards at the various food stores, and Canadian Tire money is also regarded as a loyalty program. Okay, then we have these pointed purchase displays. So here's an example here. We've seen them in the stores. They have some new product, and so they have some kind of special display calling attention to their new product. Rebates, buy something, send in your proof of purchase, and you get some coupon back. And then another fun one, some people are kind of offended by it, but it's product placement. So this is where we see product brands prominently displayed in either movies or TV shows. And sometimes it's quite blatant. So I have a short video in Moodle showing some examples of blatant product placement in various movies and TV. And if you think about it, this product placement, it's really a kind of institutional reminder ad, because they're not trying to sell you the product right then and there. It's an established brand that we recognize, and they're really just reminding us that they're still out there in the marketplace. Okay, so this next chart, these are our different kinds of consumer sales promotions. So here's our list of 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And here's a list of pros. Here's a list of cons attached to each one. So I'm not going to go through this list just because there's lots of stuff here. But each one of these types of sales promotion have advantages and disadvantages, and they might have different objectives. Like the coupons are trying to stimulate demand for a new product, and so on. Okay, so we said that we see sales promotions used in promoting consumer products, but likewise manufacturers use sales promotions to promote their products to businesses in the distribution chain. They use sales promotions to get the distributors and wholesalers and retailers to carry their product. And so the types of sales promotions used in sort of industrial marketing is a bit different than in the consumer market. So the manufacturer can use allowances and discounts to get retailers and wholesalers to pick up their product. So allowances and discounts, I mean, this is telling the retailer, if you carry your product, normally our case of stuff sells for $30, and if you buy 5 cases, guess what? We'll sell it to you for $25 a piece. So we're really giving you some free samples that you can use to pay for advertising. Okay, and so we have a case lot allowance. Oh, that's a case lot allowance, so it's a reduction in price on the cases or free cases given during the sales period. We have finance allowances where the company manufacturer says to the retailer, we have snowmobiles. We want to stock your warehouse with our snowmobiles, but of course snowmobiles are very expensive. So I'll tell you what, Mr. Retailer, we'll vendor finance the snowmobiles for you for a 6-month period, so you don't have to go out and borrow money from the bank to finance the inventory. We'll finance it for you. So that's a finance allowance. We can have these cooperative advertising sales promotions where the manufacturer offers to help the retailer pay for some of the advertising costs of that particular product. So again, with my snowmobile example here, maybe it's a Bombardier trying to encourage people to buy the new snowmobiles, and they know that a particular retailer is going to spend $1,000 a week on ads. So Bombardier says to the retailer, hey, we'll split that ad cost with you 50-50, so $500 a piece. Okay, then another form of sales promotion that manufacturers can use with distributors and retailers is coming to train the sales staff of the retailer on how to sell the product to customers. So here's Bombardier, they've got a new snowmobile coming out, it's got all these new features. They want to make sure that the salespeople understand what all these features are. So Bombardier sends out its sales force to the retailers and trains them on the new product features. Okay, whoops. Okay, and then the final form of promotion that we look at in chapter 17 here is public relations. It's public relations. And so we've all seen this. This is companies that's going to seek free publicity. So how do companies obtain free publicity? They might create a news release that they send out to the media. They send it to radio stations or TV stations or newspapers, encouraging to do a free story about the business or about the new product that's coming out. Or the company can hold a news conference and invite the media to attend and hopefully give them some free coverage. And nonprofit organizations also use public relations. They don't have might not have a big advertising budget, so they might send their news releases out to the various media, and sometimes the media will pick up on the story at no charge because they're a nonprofit organization. Okay, and then sometimes we also see sponsorship marketing, sponsor marketing. So this is where the company finds a good cause, donates money to it, and then they associate their name with this good cause. And since 2016 is an Olympic year, it's the Summer Olympics in Rio de Janeiro in Brazil in August. So as we would guess, there's lots of corporate sponsors for the Olympics. And so I went to the Olympic website, so there's the logo for the Rio de Janeiro Summer Olympics, and they've got a list of partners. These are the corporate sponsors. Oops, this is the corporate sponsors. I don't recognize all these companies, but we recognize most of them. So we all recognize Coca-Cola, Bridgestone Tires. I thought Dow was a chemical company, but anyways, General Electric, McDonald's, Omega Watches, Panasonic, Procter & Gamble, Samsung, and Visa. I don't know who Atos is. Maybe it's a Brazilian company. Anyways, it's just an example of corporate sponsorship, and we'll see these ads. We'll see these companies' names attached to ads during the Olympics in August 16. Okay, so that's it for chapter 17, and then chapter 18 deals with the fourth form of promotion, personal selling. So that's it for today, and we'll talk to you later.